We're closer to God than I'll ever be. So hope tonight you pray for me. Yeah, feed my fear, need my touch. Yeah, drink my wine, still my cup. You're dancing in a strange pattern. This ain't no laughing matter. I can feel it sinking across the mood inside of me. This must be dead.
Through this documentary, we hope to gain a better understanding of music and its creators, musicians. We hope to give another perspective, one commonly overlooked, the musician's perspective. Join us as we bring you inside the indie.
Dancing in a strange pattern. This ain't no laughing matter. I can feel it sinking across the same mood inside of me. This won't be dead.
To successfully get inside the mind of a musician, we must first define what music is. We asked nearly all of our interviewees what music meant to them, and were very inspired by their answers.
Well, music is what you like, really. Everybody defines music differently because everybody have their own taste.
Boy, that's a tough one. I think music to me is an expression of the purest kind of love.
Music to me has to have two elements, and that's it, melody and rhythm. And it can be any type of thing you can think of that creates that, and that's it. Whether it's art or not is a whole other story.
Music to me is something that from the heart, it always might be just like more or less like reality or fantasy, but at least it's something that you enjoy music. It's good for your mind, it makes good thoughts, it makes people better off. People that play music are more or less better off at other things. This was something that you keep in your heart.
Music is a hobby. It's a way of making gas money. Sometimes, not always.
To me, it's just, I think, what comes out of most people's souls. It's every individual person has some type of music, I believe, and it's just your expression of that comes out of your soul.
It's too broad. There's just no way to encompass it. It's everything.
What is the best music to you? What, I don't know, hits you? You know what I mean?
Let the sun dip. Just beneath the bridge.
It's gotta be sweetly sad. You know, it just...
My dad plays guitar and piano, so he showed me, and I've just kind of been. I really liked it, so I did it. It just kind of happened.
I'd play for free forever. Just because I want to do that, and that's how I express myself. And if I were stifled in that area, that's good.
What would you consider success right now, as far as music goes?
I wouldn't consider success. I don't want anything to do with success, because then you've achieved something. And then what? It's all done, right? How do you keep going after you've achieved something? I want to fail poorly, or I want to fail wonderfully every time. So something drives me to attempt it again.
I got to the point where I was like, I'd rather be homeless, living in a cardboard box, than continue living this way, knowing that I have something else in me that I can't express right now.
With knowing that you wouldn't actually want to be uphill, what makes you continue walking? You know what I mean?
The love of the language. I love, see there in itself, I love the music in the language. So that's what inspires me. When I'm reading, I don't know, when I'm reading a book or something, and you just feel that flow, that's what drives me.
To broaden our perspective, we also asked street musicians what their definition of music was. They explained what it was like playing on the side of the streets day in and day out.
I guess the best analogy I can use for being out here is, on some level, it's, I don't mean to sound cheesy when I say this, but there really is a sense of it being a river in terms of the flowing, energetic pulse of the market on any given day, and without consciously being aware of it, I'm sure I am part of that, tapping into it, resonating with it. Just get lost in your own particular little muse space, as in M-U-S-E. You know, I think we all have our own personal muse, inspiration place, creation place, energetic, natural place to be, kind of thing. And it's just that's where I am when I do music.
I play for who likes what I do. Fine, who don't, keep walking.
So how much money do you generally make a day?
Generally, well, it all depends on the day. Like winter day, today's pretty good. We pick up like maybe, you can pick up like 70, 80, 90 bucks a day. I mean, like a day like today. In the wintertime, it's slowing down. You make about 30, 40 bucks.
And for me, I mean, part of that, for me personally, is I work really hard at what I do. You know, it's kind of like the tip of the iceberg is like the tip of the iceberg. There's who knows what the proportions are way beneath the surface. Whatever people perceive that I'm doing out here is just a tiny fraction of what I put into music in terms of every day I go home and I play.
Have you had any breakthroughs?
No.
And why do you think that is?
I have no fucking idea.
After one of their barbecues, we interviewed the band Voxy Vallejo. As a band, they had a very unique perspective for music.
Freedom. Say that again.
Freedom.
Freedom.
To say
Sanctuary.
whatever we want to say, to do whatever we want to do.
Freedom, love, and happiness.
Music is freedom. Music inspires a generation of people, you know. Music can change the world. People these days, they don't think music can change the world. It can still change the world. It can still change the world,
It's
man.
in the process.
Yeah. All major changes are coming through. It's been inspired by music. I mean, we can go back into before the 60s even.
Back in the 20s.
With Pete Seeger. Pete Seeger, man, and all that union shit that was going on back in the early days, man. That's what drove that. The guy would get on stage with his guitar and he'd fucking get people fired up. And yeah, man, yeah, it's just truth, you know. Even the Bible talks about what is truth, right? Christ says, you know, everyone who listens to truth listens to me. And Pontius Pilate or whoever the fuck it was says, what is truth?
The Bible and whatever the fuck it was.
Yeah. But what it was truth, man. It was fucking freedom from oppression, from economic fucking slavery is what was going on back then. And Pete Seeger came along and united a generation through music. So yeah, music is freedom, music is power. Music can change things. 2 times!
Beyond,
that's all right.
Beyond good music, beyond writing a great song, beyond whatever message you're putting out there, if that's not changing something, maybe it's just the fact that you're up there doing what you want to do and sacrificing everything that we sacrifice to do it. Maybe that inspires somebody. You know, maybe somebody says, wow, if they can do it, I can do it. You know, and I think that's important too.
I'm from a little town outside of Vicksburg, Mississippi called Bovana. And one of the best slide guitar players I ever met in my life is a guy named Sloop. It's an old black man. He worked the soybean fields in Mississippi all day long from 6 a.m. From the time the sun came up, it might have been 6 a.m., sometimes 5 a.m. By the time the sun went down, but right before the sun went down, he'd end up back at his house. He'd be on a shotgun shack. He'd be on his back porch of a shotgun shack. He'd whip out that guitar, lay a butter knife handle on the, and use it for a slide. And I shit you not, that was the best music I ever heard in my life.
And nobody knows who he is.
And he didn't want to be famous, but he would hit down to the juke joint. You know, he was a big attraction at the juke joint Friday, Saturday nights or whatever. His name was Sloan. And I always ask him, man, why don't you record? You know, where's your records and stuff? I don't want none of that. I don't want none of that shit. And he wasn't the only one, man. There was a handful of musicians I met while I was growing up in Mississippi. And some of the best guitar players in the world, man. They're sitting back there on shotgun shacks on the back porch of their houses, laying it down, cutting it deep, man.
Any musician or any artist out there that's sacrificing for what they love. I mean, we're all sacrificing a lot to do what we love, but we do it because we love it. You know, so if the record labels come or the money comes or whatever, that's the icing on the cake. But none of us are out there doing it because it's making us money right now. We're all struggling to do it. You know, we're doing it because we love it. It's a labor of love. And personally, I wouldn't be sane if I didn't have it. You know, that's like, I mean, it's great when you go and do a show and the audience gets into it and they're loving it and you're getting that energy back from them and that makes you feel so good. But when you're in the garage and you're working with the people you love and the other artists and the other musicians, just like when you guys all come over and we do these little jam sessions and everything, that's what it's about. You know, when you get to express yourself and you just get to do what you love and you don't have to worry about whether or not anybody accepts it, approves of it, likes it. You're just doing what you do because you love it. And that's what it's about.
There's something special about musicians and the connection between them, whether it's a musician that you play with or not. Because no matter what happens, whenever you meet a musician, you know that what they've gone through was part of their life in some way. There is a connection there. You might not play the same kind of music, but there's always a connection.
Right here. Catch down tail back there. 3, 4. Hey, this fuck. Respect. We're as sick as they come, man. It's kind of over your line is like what? The time so I'll tell you the argument on this, right? Ready, ready? Hey, move that policy, man. Yeah, good. You're out for fun, man. You have some fun, man.
What do you think the world would be like with no music?
I didn't even think the thought.
I can't even imagine.
Yeah. You know, music.
We wouldn't have a world without music.
They can't trace it back far enough, man. You know, but I can still see Neanderthal man. You know. He done got his belly full of pig or whatever, you know, whatever he killed that day.
Pounding on the drums.
And they're like kicking back, yeah. And he's like taking a bone on a log or some shit. Boom, boom. You feel that? Yeah. You feel that? Yeah.
Sing along.
You know, it's been with us, man.
I think
it's part of this, you know.
Yeah.
You would fit in creativity.
And then somebody blew down the like boom, boom.
I think creativity
a belching time
is
too,
at the
right?
core of human nature. Whether it's through music or art or just a great idea. They call it inspiration, and the base of that is in spirit. You know, no matter what religion you are, unless you're, I mean, there are certain belief systems that don't believe you have a soul or a spirit or whatever, but I think the majority of people believe that on some level there's a soul or spirit or a higher power or something involved. And so inspiration to me, I always remember that in spirit. I think that when you're completely in that place of, I don't know about for you personally, but for songwriting, for me, you're in a place where everything else just falls aside. And you're in spirit, you're inspired. And I think it's at the very core of our nature. And so imagining a world without music, I can't possibly, because creativity is evolution, for God's sake.
And especially for a musician, it's more, you know, it's part of eating, breathing, sleeping. As a musician, that's who you are, man. You know, if you take that part away from you, you're a zombie, man. You're nothing. You know, you feel like you know, a piece of your body's been cut away.
Roy Douglas was recording for his next CD in a small room in his house. He welcomed us in with open arms and let us know how the recording was going.
So what inspired that last song?
Oh, well, it was a progression that I had. It was autumn, and, you know, leaves were falling, and I came back from a show,
and I was just sitting on the back porch chilling and listening to music in my head, and somebody across the street had music on in one of those, like a shitty little radio, clock radio thing. And it was like, well, I like the Grateful Dead. It was Grateful Dead. And I'm like, I'm cool with that, but I just have a thought and a melody, and it's 2 o'clock in the morning, and I don't think there's anything wrong with asking them to turn it down. And so I walk over to this house, and there's a guy in the basement, and he's just really hammered. I think he might have been tripping, because he's sitting there like this on his couch, just way out of it. And I tried to say, hey, hello, hello, and he couldn't hear, because the radio was sitting in the window, kind of broadcasting to the neighborhood. Right. And so I was looking for the volume, and I pushed the off switch, and it turned off, and he was like, got really pissed off. He came out and wanted to kick my ass. And I mean, he was really, really, I don't think he was drunk, but just unreasonable. There was like, I was a total ass that needed my ass kicked. You know, how dare you do that? And it's just like, well, 2 o'clock in the morning, pal, can't you keep it inside? And so he was, but anyway, so that was just like, it's like he doesn't have the right to be angry, but he sure is.
That's what that song is.
But, you know, when I listened to it without that story, just it has a poetic
it
inference.
Sounds nothing like the story at all.
It's like, in fact,
I did not expect that.
It doesn't even make sense, I think, the lyrics, but somehow there's a poetic aspect that just, it makes you go, what was that?
Oh, wow.
Nice.
It's really hard for me to get comfortable with these microphones on.
Right.
And try to get it like spontaneous takes and things like that. And there's just been a lot of external things that have kind of prevented me from spending the time in front of the microphones. But now we're getting to be buddies. How you doing? Yeah, there's some things that I've just sort of grown since the last time I did recording, in terms of my perspective, in terms of, you know, physical things, how I reproduce sounds with my voice with guitar, that have, because I'm really prone to nervous anxiety, and so just a lot of just like, get yourself to breathe when you're not singing. And when you're singing, you know, that comes natural, but I just, you know, choke when I start to go to instrumental things. And one of the things was, it's like, you don't have any air. It's good to breathe.
What brought you into music?
What brought me? I think it's always been there. Yeah, I grew up in a musical family. I would ask, I think the question would be more like, what brought music into me? I guess I've always had an acoustic guitar and just always played that. But I have electric instruments too. And you know, get to work with some people, and that is sort of what has generated the sound or the flavor.
I think even the story you were telling in there, it's kind of obvious. Not, you know, at least on some of your songs, you kind of pull from more life experiences or certain people. You know, a lot of people's songs are more hypothetical and kind of. But yours seems to be a lot of them seems to have happened. Is that what really inspires you the most? Is day-to-day life occurrences like that, or is it?
Well, yeah. I mean, life is just fascinating. It's interesting, and if you pay any attention to it, you can't help but be inspired by it. For some reason, in a kind of world that to me is mutually cooperative, music is, that lends itself to it extremely well, more than, say, painting or sculptures or writing. It's a shame that more people aren't open to that community kind of idea.
Ooh,
music inspires you? And why do you think that is?
All kinds. Yeah. You know, I think the part of the beautiful thing about it is it's a universal kind of language, and there's lots of different dialects, but it has, I don't know, some kind of heart or some kind of soul, and it speaks to you. It doesn't matter who's playing it or what the instrumentation is. It just, you hear something that just has compelling beauty. I think that's what inspires me.
Welcome everybody once again to the Tuesday night open mic for Victory Music here at the Antique Sandwich. We will be broadcasting live on KVTI.
To get their songs heard, many musicians in the area go to open mics like the Antique Sandwich Company.
Tonight we've got some people that have come back from long work journeys and some that haven't been here for a while, and some new faces, and we're looking forward to hearing all of them.
I grew up in a family that wasn't the Waltons, and I started writing songs so that I could talk about what was going on without really talking about what was going on. And I think if I hadn't had that outlet, I don't know what I would have done. So I just kept doing that. It's just been a way for me to get my feelings out and talk about my life.
What was that last song about?
The last song I wrote was a love song for my partner, Pam. I had beaten cancer. I mean, it looks like I've beaten cancer. I was going to put an ad in the paper, you know, when I was still going through treatment, you know, 60-year-old obese lesbian looking for partner. Oh, by the way, I have a terminal diagnosis. It didn't really sell. But after I got my clean bill of health, then I was thinking, you know, the future's possible. And I met Pam. We had this whirlwind romance. It was wonderful. And she was a little short of breath, and we went for some tests. And she was diagnosed with idiopathic pulmonary fibrosis, meaning they have no idea why her lungs continue to scar until she's gone. Their only treatment is a lung transplant. That's why I'm wearing this green wristband that says donate life, because people donate their parts when they die, and that can give somebody else a life. That's real important to me.
Get you through?
Absolutely. The song that I wrote about, Say My Name, I mean, that was, I was going to be dead. And so what did I want to say after that? So I've written a lot of music around cancer. I did a performance around my dysfunctional family stuff when I was going through all of that. So music is a way for me to say what I need to say from my heart. And what I've been finding is that people come up to me and say, boy, that's been in my heart. And thank you for writing that and for singing that. When I wrote Say My Name, somebody came up to me, a woman came up to me later in this park that I was living in, Trailer Park, and she said, my daughter is dying, could I play that at her funeral? And I said, absolutely. I mean, it's such a, and I mean, what a gift to be able to do that. So we never know why we're here. This is why we're here right now. And I wouldn't trade it for anything.
World, treat me right and I'll love you. World, treat me right and I'll care. I'm pressing and pounding on puzzle pieces that are not even there. There are places in the pines where our lives they intertwine. The death it brings birth when
success musically is being content.
I'll just have to wither and die. World, treat me right and I'll love you.
For me personally, success would be to do what I love to do, make a living at it. Fame, fortune, none of that's important.
And pile all of my presents and even pretend to care. In this land that's under our lives, it's the fabric that intertwines the steps that we take to just postpone the day when we all just have to be.
Since the beginning of time with music, it's always been that walking that line, and sometimes it's more transparent than other times, but it's always been a problem. So you either need to create music for yourself or create music specifically to resonate with people, and those are kind of the only two choices, I think. Yeah. So if you're looking to write pop music and to resonate with a massive wide audience, then you need to sculpt what you do to fit that market. If you're making art records, where you're making them for yourself, basically, or with the people that are involved, and you might get lucky and they might resonate with people, or they might not, then the goal is you really have to kind of do it for yourself and get everything, kind of everything that you want out of it, and just put it out there and see what happens.
Yeah.
I don't think you can half-step it. You have to kind of make one of those decisions and go with it.
All these musicians coming in here, what do you really think their ultimate goal is?
I make them answer that question every time.
What do you usually hear?
Everything, because I'm lucky enough not to be smashed into subgenres. So I basically work on everything from Indian classical and opera all the way up to like death metal and everything in between. And because of that, I get all types.
Yeah.
So probably half my work is commercially oriented, and the other half not at all. And won't be. But we also live in the age of Paris Hilton, where people want to be famous just to be famous. So, and I get those too.
Yeah, that's what I mean. How many people actually? I mean, I'm guessing really few have actually said, "I want to be famous."
More than you would think. The thing about it is that you enter a studio, and at a studio, in a record that's being produced, and you have a common goal of getting, here's where you start and here's where you're going to end. It's 80% psychological and 20% know-how. Well, 10% know-how and 10% complete fly-by-your-pants bullshit, right? Because that 80% psychological aspect, it's my job to get in the artist's head to find out what they're truly trying to do. Some people will come right out with it and be like, yeah, I just want to be famous, Other people They disguise themselves in indie or whatever the fad is at the moment. They wear the right clothes, they have the right haircut, but they're just like, you know, this is my thing, man. This is what I do. And of course, the answer to that is, well, why are you spending so much money on this thing if it's just your thing? And you know, it's bullshit. All of us want to resonate with people and have a career doing what we love to do. Period. As far as how much you're willing to do that, that's what changes everybody's decision.
Where do you think music will be, indie music, let's say, will be in 10 years?
Do you mean will people be able to put out sincere, honest records? Is that what you're asking?
Yeah.
On a major label? No. But we're also at a point where the whole industry is shifting so much. Who knows where it's going to wind up? The thing has to collapse, and it has to happen. We have to let it happen and pick it up from where it's at. You know, on one benefit, for instance, on 3 major labels alone, just the 3, there's 150 releases every week. Not including subsidiaries, not including anything else, not including Warner Brothers, 150 a week. So for the consumer to find a product that's actually good in their own mind, they have to do a lot of fucking research or be force-fed and be sheep. Those are basically your only 2 choices. So the one nice thing about the old days with the major labels is there was a filter on that. And right now, if you have $1,000, you can go make a record. That's great for some people. For most of them, not so great. Mm-hmm. They shouldn't be making records. If they're trying to be commercially successful, yeah. If it's through their own vanity and their own thing, all bets are off. Do whatever you want. But as far as actually putting something out as a product in the market and trying to find an audience, just the sheer volume that comes out is absurd. And that needs to change too. So like the internet and all the promises of the internet and all those things that come with it, big fucking deal. Who doesn't have a website? I don't have a website actually, because I'm anti at this point. But who doesn't have a website? Who doesn't have a fucking MySpace? Who doesn't have all that stuff? So how do you still find your audience? And there's been no answer to that yet.
And I don't care to explain to you. Try to decide.
All of the people that work in music that are any good, the love comes first. That's why they do it. And if they don't love it, they won't put up with some of the other stuff that goes with the scene.
The music industry nowadays, if you're mainstream, it's really hard not to be sell out, because it's not the bands themselves selling out, it's the record companies having full control over the band and doing whatever they say, because they sign their souls away when they go to those big record companies.
Mainstream radio is such a joke right now. People don't even care. You know, they put the crappiest music on the airwaves and it goes across the nation, and yeah, maybe some of the more impressionable younger kids will follow it, but even they are getting smarter, and that's why the indie market is huge right now. And that's why you're seeing bands that are on the indie labels and stuff that are going on tour and they're getting their music in TV and movies instead of getting on the radio.
I don't think about how the grass bleeds dry. Everybody waits for it until they die.
The TV and the radio and all that stuff that's out there in the mainstream, they're not doing justice to all the talent that's really out there.
They're just making money.
You know, right. That's what it's about. And they don't want, you know, it's those industry people, it's about what's selling now, because that's what we want. And if you're new, or if you're different, or if you're unique,
it'll be hard.
That doesn't mean anything to them. You gotta create your own buzz now before you get anywhere if you're different.
I think the difference between entertainers and artists is that you want to convey yourself as being, this is who I am, and you're sticking it out there for everybody to see. And that's a very vulnerable spot to be in, but I think there's a huge difference, and yeah, I'd rather be an artist.
I drove through the Charlatans diorama, steel frame stone cabins to my brother.
Expand your horizons, man. Listen. Go to these open mics, go to the Antique, go to The Mood, go to 56. Go to where that live music, these songwriters in the local community are writing music and playing music, man, because you're going to see the next big thing happen. You're going to see the next Led Zeppelin, or you're going to see the next Sheryl Crow even. You're going to see the next Black Keys.
Grass bleeds dry.
Everybody waits for it until they die.
Todd Davies, what is music to you?
It's a way to hear music. It's about hearing. So it's about hearing what I do or what other people do when I do things. It comes down to expression, I think, I guess. So whether or not it's like you're expressing that you're excited about exploring some kind of funny sound, or you're expressing some kind of feeling, any kind of expression. So as long as it's there. So it doesn't have to be like a sad feeling or happy feeling. Maybe a feeling of exploration and adventure and stuff like that.
How would you define success?
I don't know. Continuing to do what I'm doing right now would be good enough, because I'm having a hard time doing that. So, like, if I could continue this, it would be nice.
What was your best experience of all time since you've been playing music on stage in front of an audience? Can you just share like one of your most memorable moments?
Oh man, I think probably my favorite time playing was just probably on the street in Ballard sometime with some bums and some Indians, and I had a really good night for some reason. And just the performance happened to be really good, because it comes down to like how how I feel about how I sound or whatever. And if that sounds good, then I like it. Probably that night.
So Plogfest started 5 years ago with your band member?
It did. Mike Plogman it's his house. So basically he started it 5 years ago. It's mainly just like friends and family. So I don't know, I didn't go the first 3 years because I didn't even live in Washington. But last year was the first year I went. So Mismatch played. We had about 80 people there. And yeah, it was mainly just friends and family. And it was pretty insane. Like, the party went until 5 in the morning, and all the neighbors got pissed because everyone just like threw trash everywhere, like all the way up and down the street. And then, yeah, Mike ended up pissing in the closet. He was like really drunk. We all got pretty wasted. It was a good time. So, but this year we're kind of regulating it, so midnight is the, like, if you're not camping out, you're leaving. So.
How many people are y'all expecting?
About 300. So we figure with like 10 bands, it's like all their friends and family. And there's, yeah. I've gotten like a lot of replies on MySpace. It's like all the invites sent out, so.
How'd you guys pick a date and not expect it to rain?
Well, you're gonna get married one day and you're gonna pick a day that
And we live in Washington.
you don't know if it'll rain.
That was great.
Right. So you never plan for anything because you think it's gonna rain?
No, I mean outside events so far ahead that you're spending so much money on in Washington.
Yeah.
When it's been raining so much lately, how did you?
Who knows? Hopefully it doesn't rain. That would suck if it did.
I'm a monkey!
Unfortunately, the rain prevented the large turnout that had been predicted, but as the day progressed, more and more people did come. Instead of the 300 people that were expected, the event drew about 80 to 100 people. Oddly enough, it didn't seem to matter.
As long as the rain stays away, I'm happy.
So welcome to Plogfest. This is the 5th annual Plogfest. Last year there was only one band and about 80 people. So this year we have 11 bands on the lineup and we're trying to make this thing huge. So definitely next year it'll be even bigger, possibly a different venue.
So enjoy all the food. Just be respectful of the property. And special thanks to Mike Plogman and Erica Plogman. This is their house. So if you see them, say thanks.
Tell your friends to tell
Flogfest. Woo! Yeah. What's up, Tacoma?
Despite the rain, everyone there had a great time, and overall, the event prevailed.
Beautiful. Hey guys, what do you say we take about a 10-minute break?
Yeah, I agree.
All right.
Totally. Can you turn this off so I can unplug it real quick?
Go for it.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. Hey, great.
Playing in the rain.
Yeah.
Good job, man.
What usually inspires your songs?
Whoa. Calling out the field. I would say I don't know, a lot of it comes from just imagination and imagery, relating that to a specific feeling.
How would you define success?
I don't know. Success?
Built together.
A clean dump.
What was your most memorable show or significant one, and why was it?
Have you been down? Play around, skip town, turn around.
I think my early shows when I was opening up for my friend Jeremy Hogue, because those were my first shows, and he was a big inspiration to me as well to begin starting writing. Just my first shows prior to those just came to my mind.
Is that because it was new to you? Or?
Yeah, and because he kind of gave me a chance. Someone believed in you.
Yes.
Someone believes in you. That's good.
It speaks to me that I can take it in. So I really think that everybody has an opportunity to participate in this life, and we can either play in that game or pick a different game. But if it's art to somebody, it's art.
I was thinking about it here just recently because I've always my art has always come first. I've always had good jobs. I pay a house payment on a nice house and cars and all of that stuff, you know. So I mean, I'm a Mr. Average guy, but all of that's been done over 40 years in 75 jobs, you know. I mean, I'm always just not quite there because my art comes first.
Music is about, to me, is like, it's about all of us. It's between all of us.
You can say things, you can imply things with music that you can't do any other way.
Hold your mama's coat, she'll be dying soon. Everyone step back, goddamn, give her some room. Watch mama dance, dance down toward her grave. Watch mama shake down that spiral staircase, away down, far down, just a little too down.
You guys get to enjoy the live show, which is technical difficulties, and that's what's awesome.
Hold your mama's coat, she'll be dying soon.
I love my friends, I love my family. I've lost a husband and a lover over
Mama
this.
dance down toward her grave. Watch mama shake down that spiral staircase, away down, far down, just a little too down.
Question. How do you guys write songs? How's your songwriting process? Actually, that's the best thing about this band is our songwriting process is so completely varied. It started out, he's got to find some way to override. Can you hear me still over here? It started out online, where he sent me completely mastered tracks of music.
And then what? Well, I'm still listening.
I know, okay. Well, is it going to be workable for me to talk, or you want me to sing?
Maybe we'll just wait it out.
Sing. I've got it real bad. And you know what I mean. Yes, indeed.
And when the song hits, it's almost like I could be vacuuming in the house, and it's almost like a drug. It's like a fix. I feel it's really hard to explain. I feel like I have to go sit and play my guitar because there's a song kind of like, yeah, it's the weirdest feeling. I try to explain to people now. What are you talking about? Yeah, I'm like, I kind of go. I sit down, and this whole song will come out, and then it's usually done in a half hour. It just falls out of my head onto the paper.
I know a lot of people I started out with in the 70s that were creative people, and they lost their creativity for the concern for their house payment and their car, and didn't just trust in the providence of God, if you will. And now I'm sitting back at 61 and I'm going, man, you know, you're here, you've made it this far, looks like you can go a little farther, and you're still you're still a songwriter, still a poet, you know, and I'm very grateful for that.
The songwriting process. So it started out, he had sent me Lovin' Thing, the music to Lovin' Thing. I wrote to that, sent it back to him. It was just supposed to be a collaboration thing. No big thing. And then I was in the middle of a relocation from Iowa to Arizona. And he threw up another one up on our server.
Grew up?
Yeah, that's what he did. Which was Bad Woman Blues, the one we just played. It was called Bug Tussle Blues.
Yeah, deer camp.
And I'd asked
we had
him,
down in Mississippi.
I'd asked him online if he wanted the title to stay, Bug Tussle Blues, and if so, if he could tell me a little story about it so I could write the lyrics to it. And he said, no, take it wherever you want to go, and Bad Woman Blues is what came of it. We wrote a few more songs after that. It was all him sending me fully instrumental tracks. In the process, he had written the guitar part, the acoustic guitar part for Fill Me Up. And he sent me just the guitar part with the title Fill Me Up, F-E-E-L. I wrote
so nasty.
I wrote the lyrics around that and turned it to F-I-L-L, which still people are like, you know, the whole, you know, sausage thing, whatever, Phil. Wait, let's finish this goddamn question. So that one was a little bit different. He just sent me the acoustic part on the guitar, wrote lyrics to it, set that one up, we put that one together, and then he produced it. Once I got here and we started doing stuff together and live, the songwriting process took on a totally different... We'd just be in here jamming, just like when you guys all come over for the barbecue and stuff, and you just start playing whatever. Something will sound good, and I'll be like, I really like that. I'd like to write to that. We've usually got a Boss system set up over here. We hit the record button, and they just jam.
If you could, this might be kind of hard to do, but the song that you're gonna play, if you could maybe try to explain it, I don't know, you know, in any way you can, or what you were thinking when you wrote it, the general mood, the day, whatever, and then play the song, and then well, I guess that would wrap it up.
Sure.
You could do it before or after.
What song are you gonna play?
One that has gone through. It's a song I'm gonna play is called. Hold on, I'll think of a name. Hold on. I don't really have a name for it.
So is it recently written?
Kind of. Yeah.
What made you write it?
4 years ago.
Something from 4 years ago made you write it? Is that
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, yeah. It's called Too Busy. And it's about expectations, expectations and acceptations. To think of chewing on your soft, supple neck makes me a wreck. Truck wreck onto lake, spin squares into the air. You can find me in the cabin bound under the plains.
smell underneath the space beneath. Flip me over, air out the lines, cracking my old baby face. Too busy, too busy. The slime of the slime will tell you be careful. Don't wait too long. Tell me how long is too long. Slime of the slime will tell you. Don't wait too long. Tell me how long is too long. Too busy. Too busy now. Too busy worrying about. Too busy worrying about my money.
I was like, wait, is there more? I didn't want to say anything. And
You did, too late.
Did I?
That was the middle of the song.
Wait, here goes.
Nice, man.
Crafting a song is a real big challenge, you know. What are you gonna do to get to the hook, or what's the best way to honestly express yourself, and finding first of all where you are musically, second of all where you are in your life, what you're writing about and everything like that. So sometimes for me the lyrics will come first and then the guitar parts will come later. Other times it's vice versa.
I'll write a song, but I don't know how to write music. Dennis and Alex and Matthew write the music, as far as how that goes, but I feel it. But then they know how to put it into perspective, from their soul, so it's kind of a mixture with us anyways. It is that way. A lot of people, they do other people's songs. They don't have any creative, aspect for it, so it's not coming from their soul, whereas our music, it comes from our soul.
So it's also an excuse to drink beer.
Yes, and it's our sound.
True. Get girls and drink beer.
So it's our sound.
We have that connection of I'll play something and he'll lay something over it. We never really figure out, well, you do this, he just does it, and it's a good
Seems effortless. It's weird.
We only had one fight. It's because he kind of put like a Jimi Hendrix sound on one of the songs, and I didn't like it. I was like, it was.
She keeps me tame.
Yeah, usually we have 5 vocal mics and we do 5-part harmonies, and we're all, like I said, we're all songwriters. So everybody switches. We switch instruments and stuff.
guess, but sometimes, like Say My Name, the first line, they say you're never gone if you remembered, that was just running around in my head. It was making me crazy. And for about 3 or 4 weeks, I'm just, it was almost painful. I mean, you don't want to put this in your show. It was almost like having to go to the bathroom and not being able to go. You know, it's like, oh, I got to get this out. And then I sat down one day, and the way I write music is I sit down with my guitar and I start strumming chords. And it's like the melody pushes the words and the words move the tune, so it all kind of comes out at once. And I don't read music, so I have to record it right away, or the next day I'll probably forget it. In fact, I often now, with this wonderful new technology, I've called myself on my cell phone and recorded my song into the cell phone, so the next day I can wake up and go, oh yeah, that's how it goes.
What do you think made you persevere, keep going?
Wow. There was just one more song. And once it was written, then it had to be sung, and there was nobody else to sing it. So I mean, there was always one more song added to the collection to take out to the various venues, and fortunately 3, 4, 5 times a year I'll get an hour or a 2-hour venue someplace, and you get to show a whole bunch of the collection at once, and that makes it all worthwhile. You know, there's always one more song.
You think you could kind of cipher out the musicians that are doing it for the, you know, the fame or the money, and the musicians that are doing it for the flow, as you would say?
Depends. Some people are really good at acting. No. And some people, you can tell when they get into that thing that they believe.
6 years ago, you guys wouldn't even recognize me. 6 years ago, I weighed 50 pounds more. I was married to a man who I send him all the love in the world because I know what a wonderful person he can be, but he was very jealous. I wasn't able to pursue my music career because having bands and all that created friction in marriage.
Although we're still hitting on my next album. My next album, which is you got the first album yet.
Choose what he wants, what he needs from this life. Throw it at the sun, I'm done for today. Throw it at the sun, I'm done for today.
Play more shows where people are in chairs and they sit and they listen and, you know, they request songs. It's just, that's not where we're at on the food chain.
The only way we can bring it, we cannot be labeled as one person. We gotta be labeled as all people. And out here, we ain't subject as black. We ain't subject as Mexican. We ain't subject as European. We ain't subject as none of that. We just Washingtonians. So come holler at us out here in the Pacific Northwest.
There is a part of me that really, really wants this. Sometimes I feel like I don't exist, but I don't exist to you. Sometimes I feel like a loaded gun pointing towards the sun. There's no use. Why do you pray before you sleep at night? Are you afraid to die before he hears you? Uncertainty will certainly establish your fear and govern your years. No, uncertainty will certainly establish your fear and govern your years. Oh, sometimes I feel like a loaded gun pointed towards the sun. There's no use. Sometimes I feel like I don't exist, but I don't exist to you. Why do you pray before you sleep at night? Are you afraid to die before he hears you? Uncertainty will certainly establish a fear and govern your years. No, uncertainty will certainly establish a fear and govern your years, and govern your years. No. Govern your years. Govern your years. If you can hear me, if you're near me, wake me now. Change my frown. If you can hear me, if you're near me, wake me now. Change my